This video is about using public transport by people. As we can see, it is much easier for people who have small wheelchairs. However, many people require larger ones, and that includes me. This makes using public transport much more difficult. In this video, I am going to talk about different forms of transport and planning your journey in advance as much as possible. Let us first look at getting around town using buses and taxis. Buses are usually slightly easier than taxis as the space you can use is bigger. However, the space for wheelchairs on a bus is generally shared with pushchairs and prams. This can make it quite awkward if there is no space available, and it also makes it quite tight to fit in, especially if the wheelchair is long or wide. For me, because my wheelchair is long, it is not that easy to use buses, but it is possible. When I travel anywhere, I like my wheelchair strapped as I feel safer that way, rather than just relying on the brakes, but most buses do not have the facility for this. Some buses prefer the wheelchairs positioned sideways, and some of them prefer the wheelchairs facing backwards. For people who have small wheelchairs, there are a number of taxis which are available. The availability varies from location to location. For example, in London, there are many black cabs available that take wheelchairs. However, if you live in a small town or village, you will need to do some research to ensure the vehicle can take your chair, and you will probably need to book in advance. The cost of taxis can be more for people who use wheelchairs, as the driver may run the meter when loading and unloading. Make sure you check this out too. People with larger wheelchairs have a trickier job because they are very more limited to what vehicles they can get into. Before I had my own car, I really had a challenge finding a taxi big enough to take my wheelchair. I know there are chairs larger than mine, and those people may not be able to find a taxi that can take them. My advice is to go online to see if there are any suitable taxis available, or give the companies a call. Also, keep an eye on your local council website, which usually promotes transport for people with physical disabilities. Now let us look at trains. Again, the facilities vary from station to station. Some stations have the facility for people with disabilities to just turn up, but some require notice to make sure things like ramps are readily available. In London, some stations are not able to accommodate wheelchairs users, and this may also be the case with unmanned stations, so you need to ensure in advance that the stations you want to use have the facilities you need in place. I would always advise you to do this, and then buy your ticket in advance to be on the safe side. Some trains have a specific carriage for wheelchair users. In general, the place to go is the ticket office, and they will help to facilitate your use of their trains. I have had good experiences with taking the train from Brighton to London. Their service has been really good. The ticket office notifies a staff member who accompanies you onto the platform and put access ramps in place for you to use. They then call ahead to your destination and tell them which carriage you are in, so there is someone waiting to put ramps in place when you arrive. This has always worked well for me. I want to talk you through a journey. Let me focus on a journey from Brighton to London. Believe me, it all comes down to forward planning. I have a long and tall wheelchair, so I would need a large taxi for a large wheelchair to take me to the train station. I looked on the internet, but it is impossible to know what size of wheelchair the taxis can take. Often when you phone the office they also do not know. So I would need to find a bus which stops near me to get me to the train station. This all means that not only would I need to plan my journey from Brighton to London, I would also need to sort it out from my desired station in London to my final destination. I could risk catching the bus. However, there is a chance I might not be able to get on it due to it being busy or not able to take a wheelchair. So, in order to find suitable transport in London, I would need to do some research and maybe phone some taxi companies to ask how big their vehicles are or transport for London to check their bus facilities. Traveling around by public transport can be tricky, but if you thoroughly plan your journey and make sure you give yourself plenty of time, you should not have any problem.